You're not connecting to the FBI?
No.
Oh,
Okay, well thank you. Welcome to the Disaster Ready Church Program Part 2. Yeah, it's so wonderful for you to be able to come today, and I'm mindful it's a Sunday and we've got other things to do, so yeah, it's really good to see the turnout this morning, and hopefully we might get a couple of late stragglers coming in, which would be good. But yeah, before I start, I'd like to say a prayer. Okay, Heavenly Father, our loving Father, we just want to thank you once again that you woke us up this morning, which is a blessing. And we are thankful that we can come together this morning and do this workshop together, just to learn with one another, but also to prepare our members, give them the wisdom and knowledge to know what to do when a disaster happens, Lord. But most importantly, to share the knowledge, and also to connect with our neighbours. So Lord, I thank you this morning, and also for Bruce for coming along as our guest speaker to give up his time to be here to help equip the Rotorua Church. So Lord, we thank you and praise you in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay, so this is a bit of the overview. We have, as soon as I finish the introduction, we've got Bruce that will take the floor, and after Bruce speaks, we will do a group activity, which is the what would you do scenarios, which is really good to get you thinking in those sort of different scenarios. Then I will do the 9 physical steps, like I explained yesterday, on how to prepare you and your family in your homes. After that, we will have a guest speaker from Neighbourhood Support New Zealand. She will come along. It's a he. He will come along and share tools on how you can connect with your neighbours, because we know that is what we should be doing. And better to do that now before something happens, rather than wait for something to happen and then try and connect. And then we'll have a practical application, which will be, thankfully Bruce has got some nice resources there, and we will get you to start filling out your family emergency plans before you leave. So that's the activity, and then we'll just have closing statements, questions, and then we'll close with prayer. So that's us. We should be done by... Yeah, it shouldn't take too long, because I'm mindful of your time. But okay, so without any further ado, I'd love to invite mate Bruce up for him to share with you this morning. Thank you. So we'll just swap over. Yeah.
Go.
It's yours.
Thank you so much. I'm glad there's a couple of Gary Larson fans here. Thank you everyone for coming along, and it's a nice little group this morning, so please just call out if you've got questions as we're going through, make it a little bit more interactive, they're both of us on. So I'll start off by just going through a little bit of where we're sitting now, from the most recent couple of events we've had, which were the Auckland anniversary floods and the Cyclone Gabrielle. Yeah. So that's pretty sobering statistics, isn't it? Yeah, we're second. So Lloyd's of London premiums have gone up so much in the last couple of years now. You know why? Because the advice is that we're such a risky country to live in, which we've always sort of known, but we've just been having all these events. In fact, it was funny. I heard someone a few months ago telling me that a scientist came here for a conference and just couldn't get out of the place fast enough. There was nothing going on, but he was just so, because of what he knew, he was just so freaked out. He thought that something terrible was going to happen to him while he was here, which I think is a little bit over the top. tectonic plates, which creates all the geothermal. We're at the bottom of we're right in the middle of some very turbulent oceans, some of the most, in terms of weather, most prone to serious weather events around the world. So we just got this whole, and plus all our fault lines because of where we sit on the tectonic plate. So it just goes on and on. So that's why preparedness is becoming more and more important. So because there are a lot of people die, and there are a lot of some of the responses in Cyclone Gabrielle were not good at all. That generated a government report, which was done by Sir Jerry Pride, a former Chief of Staff for Army, former Governor General, and he did a team. And those are sort of, it's worth to read if you're, it's quite an easy report to read, but it actually is also quite a sobering read, as it highlights all the things. One bright light for us that live here in the Bay of Plenty is that emergency management, civil defence is organised into 16 districts around the country. Bay of Plenty is one, and Gisborne, Bay of Plenty and Waikato were the only three that they said were in quite good shape. So that was an unexpected.
Good to hear.
Yeah.
But if
yeah.
it's unexpected, it's obviously more we can do.
Oh, well, I just thought, well, you know, you're working away in your own area. When I say unexpected, you're working away in your own little area, and you're not always aware of how things are going in other parts of the country. Because I know, like Wellington, which we'll be talking about, community emergency hubs shortly, and Wellington initiated that. I know there is some good stuff going down in Wellington. So anyway, so the three findings were, or the headings, if you like. The emergency management's not fit for purpose, and that's pretty frustrating because there's actually a report done back in 2017, which is when I first came into the sector on the back of that report, and that it also identified there were real problems, but there hadn't been a lot of progress. And the biggest challenge with emergency management is it sits in that box in a, I don't know if you've come across what they call a risk matrix, and it's got the likelihood of something happening and what its impact is. So if it's likely but it's trivial, we don't really worry about that. At the other end, if it's likely to happen and it's going to be catastrophic, that's going to get everyone's attention. You come home and the household is on fire, for example, right? You know, you get, well, we've got to do something about that now. Human nature being what it is, what gets neglected is stuff that might be catastrophic, like Gabrielle, but we go, doesn't happen every week, even every year, so what's the chances? So we become complacent. And that's why, like, the plans that Luana's been encouraging to do, you know, if I meet with a group of people and I say, how many of you have got an emergency management plan? Most know that they should have one, don't have one. If I ask people, have you got 7 days food in your pantry? They don't. Have you got fresh water supply? Have you got a store of fresh water somewhere in your house, so if you lose water, you've actually still got fresh water? So people know all these things. You know, it's quite well known and it's been put across there all the time, but just don't do it because it's not urgent. I talked before about the dangerous place that we live in New Zealand as a country because of our geography. They talk about the risks that we're concerned about, and these are sort of unlikely, but in our lifetime, but at some point they will happen, or every single one of them. One is what they call the AF8, so that's a rupture of the Alpine fault, which we will still be affected by that, but it'll probably take the whole South Island back to a pre-industrial area. It'll be really bad. Displacement of the Hakarangi Trench, that just sits off the coast, and that's where the Australian plate, Pacific plate meet. And if it moves like that, that's not too bad, but if it moves like that, that's going to displace a whole lot of water, will trigger a tsunami all down the east. Eventually we'll even wrap around and come up the west coast of New Zealand. And if that happens, you know, think about how many people living in coastal places, like Papanui, for example, you know, high concentration of people right by the beach, very hard to get out of. Which is, you hear if it's long or strong in terms of an earthquake, yeah. So if you ever at Papanui and there's an earthquake, just get out of there. Don't wait for anything. Just, even if it's a little earthquake, just get going. Better to be sure than sorry. Epidemic. COVID was pretty bad, but in terms of, I know some of the plans that we made for COVID in terms of some of the scenarios, like we had with the Spanish flu over 100 years ago. So though people died, we didn't lose as many people as we could have some of those other events. A caldera eruption, what if that happens? Well, you know, I mean, we're living in one, but it'll happen and that will be us gone. And the other one that people don't know about is a major space weather event.
Transpower took some equipment out of
Yes.
service last week.
Yes.
So, and
Yes.
I hadn't heard of that before.
Yes. Yes. So again, New Zealand, we're actually more prepared than a lot of other countries for this. Partly because one area where our size is helping us, because we've got the one provider. Some of the scenarios they're running for the US is the parts of the US that they have a, oh sorry, I'll tell you what it is. So a space weather event, the sun is constantly firing out energy. The nature of this big hot mess that the sun is, firing out energy into the universe. Now, as long as none of it comes our way, planet Earth, we're fine. But if we're right in the sights of a big one, it'll cause us problems. So right on the news, there were some smaller ones just recently. That's, you know, they're beautiful because they create all these auroras in the sky, and they're very pretty to look at, all that energy. But if we got a big one, the last big one was 1879. It was called the Carrington Incident. So you can Google that. The Carrington Incident, and that was the last major one that was recorded. But of course, back in the 1800s, we only had the telegraph. We didn't have an electrical grid. We didn't have the internet. We didn't have mobile phones. We didn't have satellites. You know, so many things that we just rely on for everyday living today didn't exist. So when that one hit, a lot of telegraph cables got burnt out. A few telegraph operators got their fingers singed and their tape sort of caught fire. But because of the technology of the world at that time, it wasn't too bad. There's been a number of events since. There was one back in the 70s, which I didn't even know about until I sort of started learning about space weather more recently. And the Vietnam War was on, and the Americans had laid mines all around Vietnam, and the magnetic energy field blew up all those mines. There was Australian peacekeeping force in Africa, and they lost all their comms, all their radios burnt out. It was interesting. There was sort of little pockets of things that happened around different parts of the world. There was a substation in Canada that burst into flames. So we can't stop one of these. If the sun fires 1 hour away, there's nothing we can do to stop it. All we can do is, like we talked about they did this week, is try and shut everything down as quickly as we can. But unfortunately, shutting down our power grid is not as quick as just flicking a switch. You know? And if they don't get it shut down, and we do get a big event, and it gets fried, well, replacing all that equipment, you know, you can't do it overnight. You know, it's a big job. Even getting hold of it. You know, if there's one that's even just not the whole world, but a number of sites around the world, we're going to be competing to get those resources to fix it. So Transpower is investing a lot of money at the moment in having some redundancy, some extras, and also working on these systems so they can quickly shut down or at least quarantine some of our power systems. But then you've got all the satellites that are sitting out in space, right? There was one event a couple of years ago and they lost thousands of, you know, I mean, for the people that like Elon Musk, who's got bazillions of money, it didn't bother him apparently too much, but he lost a lot of satellites. Just got burnt out by one of these events. So, anyway, I've talked too much about solar, we'll keep that. Okay, so getting to what we hear about is civil defence. What I do is emergency management, the two sort of overlap. What you do is civil defence. And civil defence is just a really old idea. If you think about it, in the history of the world, what we take for granted, like the 111 service, professional police, professional ambulance, firefighters and so on, we have an emergency, we pick up the phone, and they come. In the history of the world, that's relatively new, 200-300 years. You know, we've lived with it all our lives, so we take it for granted. If we have one of those major events like the ones I've just those services are going to be overwhelmed. Their resource to deal with a couple of incidents around the town at any given time, that sort of works, you know. Sometimes they get tapped out and you know, it's pretty frustrating if you've got an emergency, you need help, and there's all the ambulances are off for other calls or whatever, but that's just the reality. But generally, they're busy, but they get by. But if the whole town goes down, or the whole region goes down, there are not going to be enough emergency services to get around. So when that happens, we have to go back to what we did before we had a professional police and ambulance and fire service, which is the leaders of the community stand up and say, okay, well, what are we going to do? And they organise a response. That's the concept of civil defence. The concept of civil defence is people coming together, and so churches are and responding, looking after their neighbours and so on. And churches are really well set up to do that because you've got buildings, you've got people that are connected. Relationships is the biggest thing. I'll come back to that later on too. Talk about a thing called the spirit of trust. So that's the concept. Does that make sense? And they talk about a civil defence community, and is it all these? I mean, it's not like when we have an emergency, all those emergency services tap out, but we just have to be realistic about how much service they can provide. Another big part of this community, and we work with them all the time, is the utility companies, people that provide the water, look after the roads, all that critical infrastructure. So that we've got relationships with them, and we're talking, and they are thinking about if an emergency happens, how will they respond quickly and get the power back on quickly, get the water on, and so on and so forth. Then you've got all the different welfare service agencies. So there's two of us that do what I do at council, and I do a lot of the in-house stuff, actually, in-house training, so on. My colleague Raj, who's actually overseas at the moment, but he is leading all the welfare and would often be doing these sorts of talks as well. So he's working with the different community groups to build that network and all the different welfare services. So again, people are joined up, so when we have an emergency, we know each other, we can come together, we can work collaboratively. And then we've got the emergency services. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed the community, which is where you guys come in. You know, all these different community groups. And as we've been talking about the emergency hub model, which again I'll come back to, it's interesting around the Bay, it's the churches and it's marae which are really jumping into that, which isn't really a surprise because they're already set up for it, right? And then at a national level, we've got the government. There's a National Emergency Management Agency, and then there are under the Act, the Civil Defence and Emergency Management Act. It's a bit like the school setup. So even though you've got a Ministry of Education, the schools are run by the local principal and the board, right? So emergency management works a bit the same. Every council has a statutory responsibility to have people working on emergency management and to be able to set up an emergency, run an emergency operations centre, have people trained that can do that work. And so the local arrangements are the responsibility of the mayor and the chief executive of the local council. And then the council employs people like myself to be doing some of that full time. But if we have an emergency, we've got about 100 people in council that are doing other jobs. But if we have an emergency, they come in and we'll set up our coordination centre. Any questions on that?
It seems like what you see on the news, like the coordination centre is the key, isn't it?
Yeah.
For the managing the on-the-ground response.
Absolutely.
And then the likes of, say, the churches and the maraes would feed into.
And with the hub model, which you're going to come to, it's a similar model we get you to run with. So in the centre, you've got different groups. So you've got a group which we call Intel, but it's not like the CIA. It's just about finding good information, because you can't make good decisions without good information. So knowing actually what's going on and developing that understanding of what's happened, what the emergency is, who's been affected, that's your starting point knowledge. So that's Intel. Once they've got that knowledge, they give it to the planning team. The planning team works on an immediate action plan. They work on contingency plans, long-term plans. Once they have the action plan that goes to the operations people, they make it happen, working with the contractors, volunteer groups. Our logistics team is making sure that everyone else has got what they need to get their jobs done. We have a welfare team, which I mentioned before. Raj looks after that and leads that, and they'll be working with all the community agencies to make sure that people are looked after. And we have a public information management team, and what they do is make sure that people get information, social media, mainstream media, also in being the interface with government so that ministers know what's going on. And I've actually talked to this already, but this is one of our challenges. So John Price, who's the current operational lead for all things emergency management at the National Emergency Management Agency, really good guy, had a very distinguished career in the police before he came to emergency management. But we're constantly, people have this idea that if there is an emergency, there's this group called civil defence that will come out of somewhere. You know, it's like the standing army just waiting to go. And they'll just flood into your town. It's a myth. You are civil defence, right? It's the community standing up which will what make civil defence happen. And you'd be surprised at how often people hear that and they're like, oh. Now the interesting thing about when a government agency starts trying to work with a community is that they're set up so completely differently. You know, government agents, they have these org charts. I mean, not just government has org charts, a lot of businesses have org charts, but you've got these, you know, it's all organised nice and neatly. The problem with that though is that sometimes getting information up and down to get decisions made can be quite bureaucratic and slow. Yeah, everyone's smiling and nodding. It's all very familiar with it. Whereas communities, it's all over the place, right? And it's because it's relationships. So I know somebody that knows somebody, you know, I ring people up, and it looks chaotic, but it actually is really efficient. It's dynamic. It's right. It's dynamic. Good word. It's way more responsive than this hierarchy where everything's going up and down. You know, the hierarchies are good for accountability, which of course is so big in governments, but if you want to be agile and get stuff done in a hurry, the other model works way better. And we understand that, so it's about crossing between the two, which comes back. So your bit is getting it together as a community and doing stuff, and our bit. So that's a photo of an EOC briefing actually, and you can see we've all got these different colours on them, right? So all these different teams are wearing different vests. So, and if you're running the EOC, it's also really helpful because if you see what they call the rainbow and you've got colours all over the room, so it looks a bit like that previous picture. Someone walks in, it looks chaotic, there's just people everywhere, but you know you've got a really good running EOC because all these teams are working together and talking to one another, right? But if you need to find, but the benefit of the jackets also is if you need to find something, oh, that's what I need, there's the logistics person right over there, right? And then again, coming in, like one of the best stories, one of my favourite stories about, one of my favourite stories about the community jumping in and just making it happen is the three Māori boys with a boat, right? You might have read about it, it happened during Gabrielle, but it's just textbook how you'd like it to work. So, one of them is down in Napier, he's got family that lives in Esk Valley, he's hearing about the weather, so they start texting, saying, you guys okay? Yeah. And it's going back and forward, and about 2 o'clock in the morning, he loses contact with them. He goes, oh, this doesn't feel good. So he races down to his brother's house, wakes him up, and then they go down to his mate's house and wake him up because he's got a boat. And he's got wetsuits, they load up the boat, they hook up to Hilux. They drove for hours, and it was like something out of a Toyota rig. You know, you're going over broken roads and pushing out logs. Sorry?
Like the KFC one that's on town.
Yeah, the KFC.
Well, yeah, but
with chaos,
yes, with chaos. That's right. Yeah, and they didn't have a helicopter; they just had a Hilux and a boat. And anyway, by daybreak, they got to the Esk River at the valley, and you're just looking at it thinking, oh my goodness, this is this massive body of water. So they launched their boat to go find their rallies, but they only get a couple of 100 metres and they find some people up a tree and think, we can't go past them or rescue them. So they put them in the boat brought them back to shore, and this just kept on going. They rescued over 50 people before they even got their family. And where this quote comes from, there was a family that was sheltering on a roof, and because they got there so quickly, and they're all, you know, they got a little, they had a inflatable, like the Navy use, and they were wearing wetsuits, and they all had the similar wetsuits on. So when they pulled up, this family on the roof goes, "Man, you guys are quick, are you from the Navy?" And they said, "No, we're just three Māori boys with a boat, eh?"
Yeah. Awesome.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
And so that's sort of just thinking about how can I help out my neighbours and my friends and getting in and doing that, save lives that day without anything. And so the two guys that are smiling are actually a couple of Unison workers, and one of them was hanging on for a tree, and he reckons I only had about 30 minutes left in me, you know, and I would have just been dropping into the water. They'd been called out when the power first went out East Valley, and they started trying to fix up the problem with the power, and then the flood just came through. And so really happy to be like that. Speed of trust. Anyone heard this? It's just a great little name for what you actually know and is common sense. So, if somebody rings you up and you don't know who they are, and you might say, "Look, I need you to help me out with whatever." Immediately you're asking questions, right? Who is this person? You know, can I trust them? Are they competent? Do they know what they're talking about? You know, particularly these days, or is it a scam? You know. And that slows everything down, doesn't it? Because you're going through your little due diligence process, trying to figure out if this, you know, whether you want to get involved with this person or not. But if there's a relationship, right, when one of your good friends rings you up, says, "I need a hand," it's just boom, right? There's none of that, because you trust them. It's the speed of trust. So you extrapolate that out into a community, having these so that's why people sometimes ask me, "Oh, what do you do for a job?" And I say, "Coffee." They look at me like, "Oh, do you work for the council?" Yeah, I do coffee, a lot of coffee. Which is a bit cheeky, but actually, you know, a lot of my job is actually just, well, I don't drink coffee all day long, at all, sort of one. But I do a lot of meetings with people. You know, a lot of my job, a lot of Raj's job is relationship building. You know, even within, big thing within council, I love it because I just, you know, I don't get as much time to do it as I like because I've got other things I need to do, but part of my job is to get around the building, just talking to everybody, you know, and be looking about, you know, come and join our team, be on the EOC, but also maintaining those relationships, right? So when I ring those people up in the middle of the night and say, or, you know, they get a text message off our machine that we use, they don't go, "Huh?" They go, "Oh yeah, Bruce, he's a good guy, buys me coffee. I'll come in." It's simple, right? But that's how the world works, isn't it? You know, there's that old saying, "It's not about what you know, but who you know." And in some contexts, it's a bad thing, you know, because it can be nepotism and people looking after their mates. But it's actually also, there's a good, flip it over. Relationships is about how you get stuff done, particularly in a hurry. Right? And again, that's why when we have the EOC, we have everyone in one big room. Because you might be over here and I'm talking to somebody about something and I hear this conversation over there, I think, "Hang on a minute, that connects to the one I just had over here a second ago." So again, it's that. And it was really interesting because when we had COVID, a lot of the emergency management centres, they thought, "Oh, well, we've got this disease, you know, so we can't meet as EOC, we'll do it all remotely." And we thought about it and went, okay, the disease is a risk, but so is not being in the same room a risk, because our whole operational philosophy is set up being in the room and hearing each other and talking. So we had most of our team, we had some working remotely because they could, like people doing social media and that, but all our operations and intel and planning, but we just set, because everyone else is out of the building, we could just spread out, we had our desks 2 metres apart, we had our own workstations, we had a really tight cleaning regime, we all had our meetings standing up 2 metres apart, right? None of us got COVID. And we ran that for over 3 months, but we really noticed that ones that we were interacting with that were working remotely, we were doing that, saying, "Oh, oh, you need to ring so-and-so, because we just had a conversation with them 5 minutes ago and they can tell you about this, right? So the relationships, the connectivity, the centre, basic stuff, but really important for making it go well. And the other thing is, it was actually Eisenhower who was the supreme commander of all the Allied forces in World War II, organising the war, the D-Day invasion, and went on and became the President of the United States. But he was saying as a general that plans aren't much good. I'm paraphrasing now, but basically the plans aren't much good, but the planning process is gold. And so it's a bit like you, when you're doing your plans as an exercise at the end, you won't remember everything on a bit of paper, but having that bit of paper you can go back to, but just thinking about what would I do, you know. And a big learning from Christchurch when they had the earthquakes, you know, over 10 years ago now. One of the real traumas for people, actually I shouldn't say trauma because officially it's not, but one of the real heartaches for a lot of people, something causing a lot of grief and stress, was that they knew that they should have done a plan and hadn't. And also people wanted to help and they didn't know how to help. And you go, man, if I'd only just spend a bit of time sometime earlier and thought about what I might be able to do. You know, it's surprising how many people still don't know their neighbours. And how embarrassing is that going to be, you know, if you have a earthquake or a flood or something one day and you sort of, you know, walk over next door and say, oh, hi, I'm Bruce. We've lived next door for 5 years and I've never said hello, but, you know, here we are, we're both flooded, you know. Maybe we should help each other out. Yeah. Yeah. So, it's actually pretty simple. It's just about doing some thinking. We've got, so we've got 2 documents to help you out with all that. Oh, do you want to talk about emergency hubs? Yeah? I should do that too.
Yeah.
So I've got 2 documents today. This one is we give to everybody. I know it looks, oh man, it's a lot to read, but it's organised, you don't have to read it all at once. It's organised, because we used to have this wall of pamphlets, and people would come in and go, oh, which one do I take, you know? There was one pamphlet for your dog, one pamphlet for your house, and one pamphlet for work, and one, you know, and people just got confused. So we thought, okay, we'll make it easy, we'll just put them all in one book. So you've got it all in one place. But, so if you, if all you want to know about is, for example, space weather. Or if you want to know about what to put in your, where is it? What to do with a first aid kit, we've got a chapter on that. Or what you should have in your grab and go bag, we've got a chapter on that. We've got a chapter on sandbagging and how to do it properly. So, and we've got the plans, so you can use this today to do the plans. So we've got 3 templates of plans in here. One of them is for work, one of them is for home, or if you think, oh man, that's all too much work, you can even just do the little one-pager, which is your starting point, you know. If you just to, and you can rip that off, so it's on the back page, and then stick it on your fridge. Because even that basic plan is better than no plan, right? So that's a book of plans and all things, and we've had some really good feedback about this. We've had a couple of times with weather events, people have rung up and they've said, oh wow, you know, this was happening, and then I looked in the book and they had all the answers. But so thank you. So I thought good. But we're still, you know, it's all about continuous improvement. So if you find any even typos, let me know, you know. And then this is the other thing that we really want to talk about today, which is community emergency hubs. So I've got these booklets for you as well, and this is all about how to set up an emergency hub in your church. And there's again, we've made it really, really simple, so it's easy for people to do. But the main bit of pre-work is actually figuring out who's going to be on, well, forming that team. A bit like I do at work, I set up an emergency operations team. You guys thinking about, well, who could be on an emergency hub team. And to make it easier when you do come together, so we've got all these different roles, and every person has a card. It's a bit bigger than that, right? So you have a lanyard with a card that hang around your neck, and so a bit like the vest system we have, but it's just cards. And so it says, I'm the supervisor, or I'm the person that's meeting and greeting, or I'm the person that's what they call needs and offers, which is figuring out some people are offering equipment or food or whatever, and other people need food or equipment, and they join those two people together. You have another person who's doing the liaison with us, right? So you have all these different roles. So you'd get given a card so people know who you are, and then the really good bit, on the back of the card, it's got a list of what you do. You know, so you can just look at your card, what am I doing again? Oh yeah, okay, I've got to do this now. And away you go. Very simple system, but just great way that you can organise yourselves for an emergency so you can do a great job, and then you won't be one of those people like in Christchurch thinking, you know, I really want to help, but I just got no clue what to do. Well, this will solve that for you.
So do we, for the community hub stuff, do they need to connect with you to go over that, or how does
Yes.
that work, Bruce? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Cool.
Yeah, so Raj has got point on that. One of the two of us will come in, and we can do training for your team when they get up, help you through the whole process again. You know, you don't just left to it, and we'll supply, you know, we'll get it together for you, so we have the cards and all the things that you need and talk people through.
How many of these hubs have we got in Rotorua at the moment?
We've got 3. We're working on another 8 or so.
And,
So we've got one at local Karaka. Yeah. What we're focusing on is where they work best is where you've already got something, a group that exists, and then they take this on. So that's what I'm saying with Marae and churches works well, because you've already got the buildings, they've got people doing these different jobs. Even you think on a Sunday morning, you know, you've got, or with your church, your local church, you've got a leadership team, you've got people that are doing meeting and greeting, you've got people that are doing pastoral care, you know, all these different bits, you've got that already happening, so it's quite easy to just form that team up.
just an extension.
It's just, and that's also what makes it easier, because people are busy, and if you try and set something up, particularly with that's the hard bit for us, because thankfully we're not having emergencies every day, but it also means that people aren't getting to practice every day. You know, the police, the hospital, the fire service, every day you guys are going out, the staff are going out, attending to emergencies. It keeps them sharp, it keeps them in their drills. Suddenly we have something where, oh, what are we meant to be doing again, right? So we've got to make that easy for people, make it simple, and that's what the hubs do. And so we'll assist you about this. So there's one at based around fire station, because that's a real focal point for the Karaka, yeah. There's one out in Waikiki Valley. In fact, they basically set this thing up before they were doing effectively an emergency hub before we were even talking to them about it. And those are sort of our two main ones, and then we're working with Te Arawera, Rotorua, Notaha, Mamaku.
So what's underway at Nongataha?
So that's been quite challenging. It's been a lot of learnings for us since that flood in 2018, because the initial idea was that we'd set up this group for the whole, it's just too big, right? So now we're working with people that live on Western Road, because that's where and they'd already set up a bit of a group. They've got eyes on Notaha Stream Group, and just making an extension of that. So you've got to find that sweet spot between, and Rotorua is the same, and it's a massive big area. And if you think about all the land slips I get with those joining roads, so just having one for Rotorua wouldn't work. But so the first one will probably go with the sports club, because again, that infrastructure exists there. And it'd be easy to say, look, you people, can you just carry on doing what you're doing? So all that relationship stuff is ongoing. You're not getting people to have a meeting for something that never happens. But then, if something does happen, they just kick in a different role. Which is basically what we do at council. We've got 2 of us working full time, and the other 100 they're just doing your short monthly training with them, only now, but just to keep it top of mind. But a lot of them too, when the roles that they'll be in, you know, they work in finance, they'll be doing finance, you know, they work in facilities, they'll be doing facilities. Intel's a hard one because apart from police and military, no one has Intel cells. I think most organisations should actually, you know, because it's just about having good information, bringing it all together, the complexity of organisations so people can make good decisions.
Yeah, for the speed of information, and connecting it.
The connecting. You know, you look at council, how broad the business is. You know, how many, you know, you're doing planning, you're doing building inspections, you're doing water, you're doing gardens, you're doing social planning, roading, and having somebody that is just stepping back and looking across all of that and how it joins up. That's where people's frustrations often are, right?
Yeah, so you do an overview and
Yeah.
sort of like mind mapping the whole.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Yeah.
see the structures.
Yeah.
The visual structure. Is good, you know.
And asking questions is the big thing, you know?
Yeah.
Or questions in relationships or joining people up.
I mean, I think, you know, with the flooding and that, I think it was in Hastings, with the communication with the cell phones going down and stuff
Yeah.
like that, that was a major.
Yeah.
So what would you do without any cellular communication?
Radio.
Radio?
You can buy
So-
little
Transistor radios.
transistor radios like we used to have back in the day.
To
Yeah.
communicate with one
But,
another.
yeah, or, that's right, so there's two radios, right?
Yeah.
It's a funny story about those radios though, because we were putting the kit together. I went to buy one, I went to Harvey Norman's and I thought, you know, who's going to have those these days?
Yeah, it's hard to get.
But they have them. They have them.
Oh.
Yeah, and I said to the salesperson, I said, oh, I'm really surprised that you've still got these, so I'm just curious, who buys them? Oh, people like you that are doing emergency. But, you know, being able to tune into radio, but you're right, and so that's why we're also working, we've got a bit of a network, but it's pretty old and broken,
Yeah.
so we're trying to get some money at the moment, because that's what they ended up doing in Gisborne, just the old, you know, if you've got a ham radio, two-way radio,
Yeah,
and there's also a bit of new technology.
What's the legal kind of requirements and all that, with like walkie-talkies and stuff like that? Is there some kind of laws that prohibit creating?
No, well, okay, I'm not an expert on this, but yeah, so there's two bits, like if you just got a mobile, oh, sorry about that. And it's what they call a syndicate system, so it's basically like, so it's quite, you've got people working in a particular area, but it's not so good if you So we just get on some funding to sort of update that so that, you know, and we look at the outline is, you know, like we've got at the Rotorua fire station, for example, so they can radio, because that would, people can contact us from outline areas and actually contact.
Yeah, to get involved in the emergency kind of disaster things in my past. Earthquakes and especially one in Danningberg.
When was that?
That was a long time ago. But we had a big plan there.
Yeah.
You know, I think it was like 6.7269.
Yeah.
Had 1,000 aftershocks. All the power poles even to this day are still bent and all
Wow.
that. Put a big crack in the river. There was a flooding and yeah, major. But we could hear all the screaming down our street with all the chimneys falling down.
Right.
You know, so but it was, you could see all the cars jumping. We were in the doorways. It wasn't safe to actually be under the table.
Yeah.
see your neighbours and so forth, you know. Yeah, it was, the reaction time was pretty good, but during the actual earthquake
Yeah.
itself, yeah, I don't think many people wanted to move in that. It was, yeah, pretty frightening, but, yeah.
Yeah. It is, I mean, it's that whole thing about,
It's
out of
experience, eh,
you know, you just have to wait and see what happens. It's pretty hard. And, okay.
Just one more question in
Yeah,
terms of the community health training. What does that look like? How long is that, Bruce, for a session for the
Well,
training?
You probably get through it in an hour or so. You know, there's not a lot to it. It's just
Okay.
talking. You know, a lot of the work is really will be you guys. So if you chose to do a hard, my recommended course would be for people that are full at you know, like a working party group. Put them in touch with Raj, and then he'll work with you. And then once you've got things to it through the first phase of you understand the group, understanding what's involved, and then go wider and say, okay, we're going to set one of these up, so that's going to work, want people involved, and go from there. Yeah.
Awesome, yeah.
Yeah.
Could possibly combine with another church.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all about what works for people. You know, you've got to be flexible about it. The three guiding principles for what we do in emergency management are responsiveness to the community, flexibility, unity of effort, or other words, you know, working together. So, any other questions?
So is it Raj or can it be you as well?
Well, that's
As well.
it's really Raj. But I mean, we work,
He's
you
away
know,
right now, he just said earlier,
He's in Sri Lanka.
he's in Sri Lanka, his dad's just passed away.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
that's
But-
what
But yeah, but him and I work, you know, we sit next to each other.
Okay.
Yeah, they call us Ebony and Ivory. It's just because we're always, I don't know, we get teased a little bit, always being like together everywhere we go. But
that's cool.
he's a good man. He's a really good man. Yeah, and he's done a lot of this. He set up the Welcoming Communities network for migrants coming into Rotorua. He's done a lot of work in that sort of social space. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
awesome. Well, thank you so much, Bruce. That was wonderful what you've had to share today, and I'm pretty sure everyone agrees with me. So we're going to do an activity now, and I need you in groups. So group here, group at the back, and then this group here. And what you're going to do is you're going to go through these scenarios and answer the questions, and then I'll get you to present back to the team. So you join in, or any team you want to join. You three? Yes, so it's just to get you thinking.
But it's been happening lately. They do it like overseas and we
Oh,
get
yes,
the
the morning the power's gone out, you don't know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But we're in the middle of the island, so it doesn't really affect us.
We have the
Be a bit of a worry for everyone has to evacuate, because we're in the middle of the island, there's nowhere to go.
Yeah.
Just around there.
And I'll take my transistor. I bought one.
Which one have you got?
I was just pulling out this one.
Oh,
And yeah, I was just talking to her about because I was part of these hubs as well. Major ones.
right.
And originally I used to do all of that.
This is going back to the Danny Bird way.
Oh no, this after this, not so long. When they had clothes and all that, yeah. Blaming off the service and
The next one has got trees with leaves outside on our table.
right at the top and go to the testimony, so we these hubs that I've been mixing with have a lot of information as part of the support
Usually
group.
when there's
Hang on.
real warning,
AI,
I go
have your
and
AI come.
gather all the garden furniture and make the chairs and tables inside and bungee cord them all together.
That's what they believe.
But it wasn't a warning.
I think it was on
So I had
that
and
old
I could hear them
channel.
going over the lawn and into the
So
lake.
what was the problem?
It was just how the cell so that a lot of people well, the cell to it's all going back to America. How it all links together, and they say, here's the thing. So, how we're going to figure out these because they claim
Well, I followed the page on Facebook.
so that
And even when
they
it's
joined up was
I went on the med service and it's
that's what we were going
now
with.
and
So now
they said the gusts were
they have their own kind of emergency kind of hubs and they'll talk to the elders and one go to each of them. And the trauma
just that's what
ways,
it's really come along today.
so it's not going to be just like walking there, we'll start with the houses and so, and all the people investigate the government because they were high outside the walls.
You have a backup generator.
Very aware of what they, it's all about what is the point and what you can do about it. What is it about communicate from here to there to get a service because it's causing a lot of problems. I've studied, I've got a person that works with AI and with telecommunications. I used to be with ACN, that was old school kind of telecommunications, so I knew how to do it, and I knew how to set up, but it's getting more complicated these days.
Just look up this, I know there's something you try and get, which is,
we were just looking like what people are close to, you know, sort of like a neighbourhood support group, so they could get together. When I went there, and I was like, holy moly, that's quite a distance. These other people. So we came into a little bit of our town and some little rural parts. Wow, okay. So we were trying to make a people line group, you know, instead of a cellular line group, a people line group where one could go to the other. We've got things so we done a car one, and then we done a walking one, and push bike. So we had
Really?
3 different sleds, you know, different colours,
Yeah.
going through this map,
Well, yeah.
you know.
And sometimes it's what it's going to be, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm good, I had one before.
They might have been.
Could make sure you're already wearing warm clothing.
Well, it might be the minute,
Summer,
but you know, if you're going to run, then if you're going to be a big man, yes, I don't mind. Must tell Luana about it. When I took Max and Taki to the international
They've made these aerials.
and Andrew
They got this.
Yeah.
Wow. 350 to 450 kilometres.
Like a little mini city set.
Wow.
We had teams in that time.
Wow.
We had to run and
I can
they
physics.
had to put their hard hats
Really?
on.
Obsessed
And then
with
they had to run and
physics
chainsaws with without a chain in it.
the last
And
things
they had
of
to
mine,
get
how the
the
line works,
get the wood off the road.
Wow.
And they had to run along the road and patch them,
Wow.
clear the road and
Sally
do the
assisted
road out.
picking them
Double
off.
the wrap and patch the road. All this kind of stuff. And they had surgery and trying to get ready to get around.
They'll have
But
your
you
phone.
think airbags, old airbags and stuff. And they lie hundreds of back and they pop it up and it lifts the door or the sofa
There's
or
very
whatever.
little good answer.
Really fascinating.
Well, give us stories.
And they yeah, put a body on there and go off and drive it back. And then they get this day tomorrow.
So this is why being green, who is head of the national system.
No, that's, you're on track.
Oh, this was an international camp.
Because I'm not,
So we just like the last day.
But that's good, so why don't you just.
But also just trying to figure out
Oh,
what.
you have to buy by the tickets.
Yeah.
And
There it is. It's amazing invitation.
So we will work at least to read it. So you can read your own writing. Okay, well,
Solar cloud leaders.
awesome. Let's go around the groups and pick a spokesperson to share with the group what your scenario is. Read out your scenario and then read out what you've written. And look, there's no wrong or right answers. That's why we're here today to learn together. And we have Bruce here as well, if he can chip in where he thinks he needs to. So we'll start with the ladies here. You'll read out your scenario and then let us know what you wrote down as the answers.
Okay, well, we thought, so we've all got different scenarios.
Yeah.
So it's 12 p.m. in the middle of the day and tsunami warning has been issued. We've got 8 hours to evacuate and there is a civil defence, and we've got to check in with them. Sorry, we were listening as we're the army, it's up to them. Okay, but we thought first thing we should just knock, and to fear. So the first thing is pray and just ask for God to have a spirit of peace, and then to help us make some good decisions. And then we refer to our prepared emergency preparedness plan. So all the information based on a scenario is going to be in there, or we could just figure out a safe place to go. Now this is not in any particular order. We need to check on our neighbours, obviously. Maxine pointed out there was some examples of the people that haven't even heard the warnings. So we just need to make sure that those are safe and that they know what to do as well, and help them as required. And yes, we need to see if there's any alerts being issued from civil defence, and turn on our radio and listen for the updates, because they might be telling us what they want us to do, and just follow the advice of people that know what they're doing. Before we should let our family, if we've got time, we need to let our family know where we're going, and then they won't be panicking and overloading the phones. Or we could also leave a note, because if they come, I think you can mark the door or something. So if people come in and checking, that saves their time. If they can go past here, this house is sorted.
Perfect.
Things are called pets came up first. We do want to take our pets with us, right, along with our family members, of course, and our elderly neighbours. And what do you do if the elderly, if people, because it's depending on the scenario whether you can drive or because it gets congested. Elderly people that are not very mobile, what's the plan?
So the good news, I guess, is that for most emergencies you won't have to leave. Most emergencies you will be doing what's known as sheltering in place. So, which is a big bite-off, because the idea of evacuating your home and trying to find everything, I mean, no one really likes that idea. And even when people can see the dangers of them, they're still pretty reluctant to leave their home.
But we've been told on ours we have to evacuate. So we're assuming we need to.
So if you had to evacuate, and then you've just got to have to do your best. Got to do your best, work out what you can do. And in some cases, you might not be able to evacuate them. You might have to try and figure out. Well, I mean,
don't even want to be making that decision.
Well, that's why you've got to have a plan.
Yeah, so that's right.
Or Tauranga.
That's right.
I think it's all about having a calm state of mind.
Yeah.
With the elderly
So you
family as to what
focus.
do they want done with
Yeah.
their relative.
And that's what,
Because
that's what's
unfortunately those
important.
choices do have to be made sometimes.
Yeah, well, that's why it's important to have the plan already done, so that if someone does have an elderly person and you've got to make up a decision, you've got to make a plan on how you're going to evacuate your nana if something happens. So it's already in the plan, or else when on the day you're just going to be running around, you won't even be thinking straight, and then she may get left behind.
But that's probably one of the toughest ones. And I remember being at a conference a couple of years ago, and there was a woman who's really seriously, I mean, she's quite relatively young, she's in her 30s, but she's seriously disabled. And she just said, like, I know, the best thing for me is to just stay here and hope for the best. But those are...
That's where relationships are key.
Yeah.
A strong man to put him on the shoulders.
Well, her problems are pretty complex, because she's wired up machines and stuff like that. So it's not like she's just. But that that's a very small percentage of the population. But it comes back to having to think about how to do that. And pets is another one that's changed. I remember we had some old school firefighters out at North Taha back in 2018, and telling people, no, forget about your dog and your cat. That's never going to happen. That's never going to happen. And even when they were sort of forced out, they all snuck back to get their pets. It's going to happen. So we understand.
Pets are family.
Yep. So what we're going to do with them all. So really, the pet has to be part of your plan. How are you going to look after your pet? Because there ain't going to be. We're not going to be able to pull the dogs in the pound or.
Handle first.
Yeah. But,
So, yeah, well, we thought, and our important documents, you know.
yeah,
Some water and food, because you don't know how long you're going to be out when you can get from. And some warm or appropriate clothing, and obviously got a transistor radio. I'm sure there's lots of other things we should be doing, but that's where we got to.
Oh, well done, that's great. Okay, so our next group, guys here in front.
Yep. So it's 9 o'clock at night, a long, strong earthquake has just happened. House is no longer safe to be in. Okay, so what it says, where will you go? So for me, it would be where you have clear visibility. So if the house was not safe, obviously everything is moving and starting to break and collapse. So we like to see if, you know, if it's getting to that point where the ground's opening up and we can see visually of what's going on. That's an earthquake. So anyway, where you've got clear visibility of your surroundings, power poles, lines and all that, anything that can come down on you, you want a clear area. What do you need to bring? Some more clothes, you know, obviously have some clothes. If you can, your phone, and you've got to remember, depending on how strong it is, the earthquake, that we don't really have that much time to go into certain areas.
No, that's it, long, strong, get gone.
Yeah, yeah. So
this was at 9 PM at night.
yes,
You can't see it done.
yeah. I mean, normally your power is still on for a little bit,
Yeah.
but yeah. Yeah, so I'll just make sure your family members are with you, and if you can, just have a kit ready,
It's a grab bag.
yeah, something close to the door,
What's it?
you know, or
Is
have
it
it
point?
close, you know, so have some kind of cupboard where you can just unlock, grab it, it's got everything in it, not, you know, not over excessive in weight. You know, with your radio, whatever you need in there, even a backup cell phone. Some food in there. Who do you need to contact? Well, people that are in the house, obviously with you, that's your first thing. Depending if anyone gets hurt, we're trying to avoid that. We need to see 111, obviously. And yeah, your neighbours, your friends, your family. Yeah, but I think at that instinct, you're more focused on your positions and who's with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And whoever's got, you know, whoever's got a natural way of taking leadership to be the older brother or sister of, you know, who's in that house, to take care of that, somebody that's a bit more cool, calm and collective, I guess.
Yeah, so the quick response is when people, like if say you're in your bed, the recommendation is, if there's an earthquake,
Yeah.
you just stay in bed. And probably, no,
Yeah.
because people just want to get up and run. But then if there's an earthquake, things are falling, glass all over the ground, you're more likely to trip and injure yourself. So they recommend that you just go your head,
Now, is it
stay
still
in bed.
drop cover hold?
Yes, it's still drop cover hold whether you're in bed or, you know, standing here and it happens, drop cover hold, you know. But they recommend, because if you go running around looking for family and all that, but if you teach all your family
Yes.
the same thing, You know, even your kids, when something happens, they know what to do.
Yeah.
And that's what this planning is all about, is making sure everyone knows what happens when
Because
something
we
like
were in
happens.
Westport when the Kaikoura was attacked, and that was pretty bad. And we were in a camper van on the coast. So I was the local one that we've been talking to all the visitors, you're the local, we're going to follow you. So, but we were just driving, but everyone in Westport was driving around. And I thought, man, I got on the phone to Dad because our South Islanders wasn't like, and it's like, we're going to go, so I might go to the and then the fire service said, go to the New World Car Park, but it was just blasting low, but I guess that's the best they can do. But it was so busy, everyone was driving around.
Yeah.
It's like more Westport, it's like, yeah.
Yeah, it's what do they recommend if you're in a car and it happens, earthquake?
I've never been asked that question. I guess you stop.
You stop, yeah. No, the recommendation is stop.
Yeah.
Away
But
from
it is a
power
tricky thing. People are trying to
Stop
figure
away
out.
from power lines.
Yeah. People are trying to figure out.
Away from trees.
Because they were panicking, you know, there's a tsunami, we've got to get out of here.
Yeah.
Well,
I wouldn't know
the
that.
hills,
It's just a very-
Because that's come up a lot.
My brother is trying to stay at the table.
Okay, awesome. All right, well, thank you, group. So our last group, we'll get them to share and then we'll
Ours
continue.
was scenario 3 at 6 in the morning, the power's gone out at home, you don't know when it will come back on. And I guess we had a couple of questions, we don't know why it's gone out, you know, and it would depend on the scenario, so if there was a lot of wind or whatever, or the usual around Nongataha is that there's a car, someone's hit the pole, or hit the transformer box, and it's, you know, it might be out for a
Same here in town too.
And the questions we had to ask was, can you stay at home? And the answer is generally yes. Particularly in case the power lines are down or something, you don't want to go out driving around to see what the story is. I mean, I generally run to the garage, check the power box to see if anything was triggered, and then by that time my neighbours are usually texting, have you got power, have you got power? Like, we usually all text each other. Unless you're a medically unstable person and you need to be plugged into the thing.
Dialysis.
And we were having a power outage for a planned one for 8 hours, and it said if you are medically unstable, call Mercury. So I thought, I'm just going to call Mercury and see what they say, and call us for your, you know, to work it out. And I called them and I said, so if I'm medically unstable and I have a machine, dialysis machine or something, and they said, you need to make your own plan. You need to get a battery.
Yeah.
You need to do, okay, well, I don't have one, but now I know. Even though they say on their form, so just the reason I'm saying this is if anyone has a relative, you know, when the form comes out, it says contact Mercury, but they know nothing, they don't help. So back to what you said at the start, we are the civil defence. We need to all have our own plans. Next question was, if you can't stay home, where would you go? And the thing is, you would follow your emergency plan that we're all going to take home in our books and say where we would go if there was a problem. And I was just saying, when you said about New World Car Park, Nongataha would probably go to the rugby field because there's no power lines and less trees. So I guess thinking of somewhere, if there was power lines and trees down, where would you go if your house was unsafe?
Do you mean the one behind the medical?
Yeah, that's kind of near me. What do you need to bring with you? Power banks and charger cables for your phones and stuff. My little new 6-month-old transistor radio and batteries and spare batteries. If you need to take some with you, you mentioned about documents and the grab bag, which one would assume would have documents, power banks. But the thing is with our phones and stuff, like it's almost like a daily thing. You have to think, are all my stuff charged up that I would need? Do I have enough gas in my barbecue? Do I have enough, you know, I have the Pathfinder, all the gear in my garage, so come on over if you need it. But, you know, like I'm always checking that the little LPG tank's got stuff on. So this disaster ready business, it's like it's a couple of hours a week of like putting into your community of what you need. Yeah, documents I think is one that I need to look at home because ours are in all different places. I think I'd struggle to get that done in a hurry. Spare batteries for your transistor, along with your power and spare phone. And who do you need to contact? Number one is the neighbours. And if you're leaving, like Johnny said, like tell someone where you're going or put a note on the door that you're going.
Awesome, some really
I think
great
we got
points
the
there.
easy scenario. It's generally just,
Yeah, perfect, yeah,
but
so,
I think what you said before was most, unless we're on the coast, which we're not here, but we're on holiday, and it was a tsunami, I think everything else that was interesting that you said, shelter in place is generally the thing.
Yep.
So that means make sure your environment is safe and that you have everything you need just in case you need it.
yeah.
One of the good places is when my daughter and I were talking about this, where if we're in town or we're in different places and we have no comms, we were trying to work out a good meeting place to try and get to.
Yep.
And one we've got at the moment is Pack and Safe car park, but there's got to be better places than that eventually, so Jen would know them all probably.
Well,
No, it's
I'm talking sort of CBD area.
yeah, it's the Pack and Save car park is going to be pretty busy.
So we need to update that.
So you probably want to think about a place because it's just a meeting point for you and him, right? So you just need to think about a place that's likely to be safe and is maybe the middle point between both of where you are
Or
likely
if
to
we
be.
didn't know it, we're in town somewhere, but we could be moving around from different things, so we might not necessarily know where each other are.
yeah, that's the thing, you need to sit down and plan, because you could pick a relative out a little bit out of town, that could be a meeting
Yeah, we don't,
place.
so that's out of the equation. I'll be church members, I suppose, but
Yeah,
yeah, so that if we're trying to find each other, we want a safe place to try and get to meet.
yeah, so basically, yeah, to pick a place, I wouldn't pick a busy place in the CBD. I would try and be out in the different suburbs to pick a place, and then eventually that's where you know you'll be meeting your daughter.
It's
You know?
going to be safe to try and get there, like.
Yeah, well, you don't know where the disaster's going to be,
No,
so you're going
some
to need,
people as well.
yeah,
You know, yeah.
well, you'll need 2 or 3 options.
Yeah.
So that's why I think you need 2 or 3 options, because if that's not safe, that area, then you know, okay, that place has been affected. Our next one on the list to meet is over here. So, you know what I mean? So you know,
I
I'd
get
say,
it, the Pack and Save car park at the lakefront and come here to church, to the school.
Because we were trying to think about the trees and
Yeah.
poles and things.
Oh,
And windows
Yeah.
are amazing.
So it's always going to be trade-offs. I mean,
Yeah.
even like the emergency hubs, right? There was a period a few decades back where every school was designated as a community, what is it, a community emergency hub, but a civil defence centre, that's what they call it, right? And some of the schools have still got the signs on them, right? And the thinking was, back then, was that, well, schools tend to be a hub of the community, so it's a good place, and people are going to want to check on their children, so it's a good place for everyone to come together. And then we had Christchurch earthquakes, and that whole idea got tested, and it was terrible, because it's like, well, actually, you don't want a whole lot of panicky people in a school.
Panicking the children.
Panicking the children, and you also want to, even after the event, try and get some stability for the children as soon as possible. So you don't want anything about emergency going on at school. So it reshaped the thinking. And then it's like, okay, what else is going to be? And then the next thing came out is, well, you know, we don't want to be telling people to go to places, this is your place to go to, but then it's unsafe, depending on what the emergency is. So we went through a period where we were saying, well, we will tell you, we will identify safe places, in which we will still do, right, that you can go to and gather on the event, which comes back to listening to your radio. But then we're also now moving towards community emergency hubs, which is going back to, we're saying, well, here's a place to come to, but part of your hub plan has to be, well, what's, say, this building, you know, if there's anyone here, what's that compromise, what's plan B? And so those are the biggest challenges, you know, trying to trade off all these different things, which comes back to why the planning process is important, because it's not in a panic, but when you've got time to think about it, doing this, what if this, and chances are it's never always going to be perfect, it's better than nothing.
Awesome. Well, thank you for your discussions. And so that's what this is all about today, is preparing. Like I said yesterday, we need to, if we prepare, that will prevent panic. And that will help us with the peace if we're prepared, right? So that's what this is all about today. And I just want to show you the video. So that, what would you do if you woke up to that? Do you know who lives next door? How many people live there? Okay, unfortunately, this happened in Auckland last year. And
This happened in Sanson last night.
Yeah.
Last time.
yeah, and 2 people lost their lives. Unfortunately, they didn't have smoke alarms. Unfortunately, they were not insured. So, you know, look how important it is to have those things. And that's what today is all about, is planning, preparing. And also, if you woke up to that, okay, and then the fire services came to you and said, oh, how many people live in that house? And you say 2, and there's 4. That's why we need to know our neighbours. Not only just know their names, but it'd be good to know how many actually live in each household for anything that could possibly happen. And that's why knowing your neighbours is, it's gold. Okay, so, you know, why? If a disaster hit tomorrow, is your family prepared? Are your neighbours, your church, and what about your community? So these are the questions we need to ask, and this is the reason why these workshops are really important, because of being prepared. And so, again, the text yesterday, this is our warning, and we've been told it's all in the Bible, and so us as Christians know that this is going to happen, and we can see it happening. At the moment, ADRA is responding to 9 disasters in the world. ADRA is there responding right now to 9 disasters, and every day another disaster is happening, and that's what it's saying, that they are going to get closer and closer and closer. So we really need to just take this seriously and be intentional to prepare our families and get to know our neighbours. And so so at this point, so yesterday we had the spiritual side.
Yes.
Today we're doing the physical side, and thankfully Bruce gave me this nearly 18 months ago, this plan, and I've stuck to it, Bruce. And so our step 1 today is know your neighbours. So I've got a lovely guest speaker here from Neighbourhood Support New Zealand. Richard is going to come up, and he is going to explain what they do, and he's also going to give you some tools on how we can connect with our neighbours. Thank you so much, Richard.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everybody. To my good friend Bruce from Soil Defence, we have looked many hours before in different places and spoken to many communities. We don't even know we are going to be there, and today I find him here again. So we're kind of like brothers in a way. Well, good morning to you all. Neighbours, I've heard what you spoke about, I've heard what you thought about, and I can see the thinking is there. Neighbour support does not go to the fact of civil defence emergency. We fall under civil defence. In fact, if there is an emergency, we are part of a group of people, each with their speciality. Some will be a psychological speciality, some will be with animals, some will be medical. My side is information. How many people were in that house? That would be the sort of information that I would provide. So let's have a little bit of a run back. Do you know the old name of Neighbourhood Support?
Neighbourhood Watch.
Yes, Neighbourhood Watch. Everybody knows Neighbourhood Watch.
Why did they change it?
I'm so glad you asked, because I was about to answer.
the little...
Yes, I know, I'm aware of it, I'm fully aware of it.
So we don't want to just watch.
I'm changing.
You want to support...
I think you've got the right idea. Look, it was born out of a crime type situation. Watch, see, report to the police. Be their eyes and ears. Don't be vigilante. Now, I come from Cape Town in South Africa. Anybody from that area?
I'm closer.
Whereabouts, sir?
Oh, Mudray.
Okay, I was in Constantia, and then, so we're not too far from each other. Now,
And now your neighbours.
yeah, I suppose. Well, it's good to meet you. So you can probably pick it up in my lingo. I haven't lost this. No. I'm not actually trying to lose it, but my friends now, it doesn't matter who they are. A neighbour is someone who's next door. So what makes a good neighbour? Perhaps the best question to actually ask is what makes a bad neighbour? What makes a really bad neighbour? Any ideas?
Noisy?
Noisy. Thank you. That's probably the biggest one I get. What else is there?
Oh, my neighbour comes over and gets annoyed about different things and decides to do concreting on my property when I'm not home. It's kind of annoying.
What?
When they try and take a meter of your land.
Yeah, I can hear the stories, but I'm not going to go too far because I'm not responding to those. Go to council. That's their problem, not mine.
They're operating a tin house.
Yes, sir.
I know when I was in charge of neighbourhoods on my street, over in Jade Place, there was a man who said, I don't want to give you any information. So they were a house that we didn't know anything about. Something happened there.
That's the whole point of what he's there for.
Yeah.
So we run in this neighbourhood of Rotorua, and I'm going to talk about central Rotorua, not actually the district. Rotorua has about 600 street contacts. People who look after a small section in their home. There has been one before. What street was it? Jade Place, did you say?
Jade Place. I'm now in Membro, so I'm not over there.
That's fine.
I
That's
had
fine.
something took over from him.
That's fine. Everybody does their bit and then they move on. And I thank you for that. Lovely to talk to you sometime. No worries. So 600 contacts. And what do we speak to them about? And here is the basis of what we do. And we will probably sum it up in 3-4 words. But the first one is, the first 3 words are to do with what the police had a program on called the locks, lights, line of sight. The 4th one would be vehicles. So I'm going to go on those 4 principles to share that with you. Locks. Think like a criminal. If you're going to break into a car, which window do you not break? Yeah, that's probably the other one. I didn't think of that. The driver's window. Because you're going to sit on the glass if you do.
They did that to my car. My neighbours broke my driver's window.
That's
But
unusual.
my alarm went off. Yay!
Good, good.
They ran away.
Good, so you got an alarm. And one other window they break is usually the passenger window, because when the chap steals the car, he wants to go and get the girlfriend. Hey, guess what? I just stole this car. Come and join me for a drive. That's how they think. It's all about emotion and perhaps that inner unemotional being trying to be somebody, right? Ego. And I read once upon a church sign, and your ego is not your amigo. And I smiled. I said, that's exactly true. So it was quite a cool sign. But they do break the back door windows or the quarter windows. And why they do that is because then they can put their hand in the car and then open the car from the back. Unless you put on your kiddie locks. Tip number 1 of many. Put the kiddie lock on your back doors. You might lose a window. Sorry. But you won't steal your car that easy because they've just made a noise. Which means tip number 2. That is this little machine here. These are what they call, I'm not going to put the badge in because I took it out for a good reason. These are what they refer to as driveway alarms. I hope it doesn't make too much noise. I bought this for $50, and by the way, I don't get paid for this. I don't get sponsored by this. I'm just sharing it with you. When this thing goes off, because somebody goes past it, and now you know why I'm going to take the battery off.
Is that a motion sensor? Or?
Yes. Yes, it's a motion sensor. It comes with one, and you go to Google, Amazon, I think, and then you buy 2 more. So there's 3 channels. One's in my garage, one's in my house, and one is in my car. $50. And the other $2 $50 as well. There are many types of those. We call them driveway alarms, many times. What stops me from putting that in the vehicle? Just because it says driveway does not mean I can't use it as a motion detector. And I use these. Now the trick is, if you're at home, you will know that somebody's in your car. Because each sound is different depending on which channel you're on, 3 channels. The other thing is that if I'm not home, it'll go off. But will I know about it? The answer is no, because I'm not home. If I'm out without my car, that is. But what is important is that this little machine can be set to quite a loud noise. And I put it by the window with a small gap, making sure that and then when it goes off, the criminal runs away. They do not run away from lights. I have seen many of them, and you've seen these videos, where they come in and the lights go on, they just don't care, because you're sleeping. Why would they worry? But noise, they do. So I recommend go to Bunnings and all those other places, get yourself one of those, put them in your driveway when someone comes up your home, driveway. If you have a visitor, that's actually my visitor's one. I put that one in my visitor's car, at least the machine. And that's how I try and help my own people in my own home. If we're having a barbecue and we're celebrating, I'm not speaking rugby, but when we do things like that, that's why we do it. It's just a tip of security and safety in your own home. Look, let's be honest. We all have a home, and we've been in a car, and we like our car, and we like our home. And when I got my first little flat, I had my key in my hand. It was the most precious thing. I'm going to my own place. Out of the house, life is great. Until somebody breaks into your home, or breaks into your car. And when that happens...
Feel very violated.
Yeah, very much so. In fact, it's one of the most horrible feelings I can probably think. Tomorrow you're going to work. And what's the first thing you think of? I wonder if home is okay. I don't want anybody to feel like that. That's someone who breaks a window or so on, and they ran away. I can live with it. Because at least I did something about it. I had an alarm of some sorts. So I put in alarms. Now the criminals are forensically wise. And what they do is they'll break into the rooms all the way down to the end, go around, break in all the other ways, because they'll never go down the passage. Because somehow they've already known that there's only 1 or 2 cameras inside the house down the passage, but nowhere else. Now yes, you're not supposed to put cameras in private places. But still, nothing stops you from putting it in the lounge, or putting it on the outside, and even hiding it. Nothing stops you. You can have one that's totally visible, as long as you put up a board, commercially speaking, to say that you have got a camera. And even if you put the board against the wall, and the door opens up to your business, at least it was on the wall. That's strange, but apparently I don't want to do that. So those are my thoughts about this thing about light. Light is an issue that we need to be aware of, but it's not the ultimate thing. Light, the security lights and all these blazing lights, they're nice to have when there's movement. I get it. Dogs, cats coming, I get it. People coming, I get it. But as long as there's a noise to go with it, especially when it's in the right place and the right height. One of the problems with this is it can set off. Just doing that sets it off, right? That's a great machine. $50. One of the problems is it does set off cats and dogs, and I don't want that to happen. And you're okay to video me, because I wouldn't want a coffee one day.
Even those lasers.
Lasers, another sorts, teach the ones they use inside the shops.
You need, laser beams and that, set them off as well.
You can time it and set it, and a laser is actually more expensive, but also clever. I've looked at them myself, long distance. I've used mirrors, so that if somebody goes past any one of those, the laser beam is cut. Yep, those are things that you can use. Don't make it expensive for yourself. So back to the locks, lights, line of sight. Locks, I spoke about the kiddie locks outside. What about inside the home? You may have heard of portable ladders. You've all got them. You know wheelie bins? Red and green and yellow. Those are portable ladders. You wheelie them right to the window, climb on top and climb inside. I'm sorry to preaching to the converted, if I may say so. That's actually lousy. And often they send in a young kid, but then rush to the front door to open it for you. Which brings me to the other part. The front door and the back door is the main points of entrance. If they are used with what they call a deadlock, that is something I do recommend. Deadlock on the front and back door. Some deadlocks actually have a key that you can use as well. if your windows on top are secure because you've climbed up on a normal ladder to test it from the outside, good. You'll probably be pretty safe. Many windows that people have come to me and said, we can check my windows, and many windows that I've gone and checked are not. I rattle them. I can put in a piece of wire and lift the thing up and pull it open. Many are not. Not many. Well, there are some. But it is something for you to check, to just see if you are in the right safety zone. And that's your call. And many of you may have had windows broken. If they break a window, honestly, there's nothing I can do about it.
Or if you leave it open when you went out by accident.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or if you leave it open because you want some nice cool air in your home. Or if you're really, really not clever and you put your window open with your phone there and charge it because the windowsill's a nice spot for it because it's next to the charging point and someone won't steal your phone, will they? It happens. And then not only do they steal the phone, they take the charger too because it's right there. You just pull it because you can see where the lead goes. And then tomorrow the lady went and bought a brand new phone and guess what happened the next day?
Okay.
They took the next one too. Okay, somewhere something tells me we need to learn from our mistakes. I think if you can check your windows, if you put one of these alarms on, it will help. It will help. Will it prevent a burglary? And the answer is no. I mean, nobody's going to stop. There's a safe of gold in there. No matter which place you put it in, someone's going to figure out a way how to get to it. You don't have to have gold in your house. You just have some idiot outside there who thinks, oh, you know, he got a Christmas present. And it's Christmas time, so now it's time to have a look at what they are, what they have in their house. And you think about it, it's kind of obvious. And what people do? I've seen this so many times. They go outside and they take the big box with a new TV and they put it there by the bin to go. Yeah. So now the criminal comes along and says, I wonder which TV I want to take. Should I choose that one or do I choose this model? Because they're all there. If you are going to put a box outside, fold it up. Close it. Don't let people see what it is. It kind of makes sense, but do we think about these things? Now, how about when you leave home? Is your home safe? Yes, you expect it to be. You've locked it. And I would agree. Yes, it is safe. In the bigger picture, it's safe. Our community is, generally speaking, pretty safe. But it's not perfect. No community is perfect. One day it will be. Not at the moment. We're still on Earth. But what I do know is that the new trend was to take a bottle and throw it on the grass. It's actually a South African thing. I don't know why, but some people can be clever in their criminality. They take it and they throw the bottle on the newly mowed lawn. And tomorrow they go past and the bottle is still on the newly mowed lawn. And the next day they go past and it's still on the newly mowed lawn. What does that tell you? Nobody's on. So as a good neighbour, may I suggest go pick up the bottle next door from the lawn? I suggest you take their post from their post box. I've seen post boxes like that. Now some of them are just because people don't care, and that's different. But most people whose homes are pretty neat and tidy in front, they do care. And these are the neighbours that are going to help each other. So let's say an incident happens. Nothing serious like an earthquake and all sorts of stuff, because that's the next level. Who is the first person that's going to help you? Let's start with police. They're not going to be the first people to help you. Ambulance, even less. A friend of mine had a bit of a heart attack situation. They weren't too sure what's going on. And the ambulance came from Rotorua to get in, because that was the only first available one. And that was took an hour. That was just 4 days ago. Fire and emergency, or we used to call them the fire department, it's now called FENS. Still called FENS? Fire and emergency, they say now we're an emergency service, but we specialise in fires. That's the way they put it. They're not going to be the first one. The first one is always your neighbour. Always. And your neighbour is probably going to be the one who's the wisest at the moment, because they are not emotionally connected to the whole situation in a dramatic way, but enough to know what can I do to help. And usually they call 911, right?
111.
Thank you. That was a test. I must say, but it was brilliantly false. I had to do it to see if everybody's awake. Okay, 111. Call it immediately. Even if your phone doesn't have battery power, if it's low on battery, it'll actually activate another 10-15% on your phone. It's built to do that. But at least it's not for emergency call, not because you want to say hello to your darling girlfriend somewhere, no. Just you have to call one-on-one. So one-on-one is the first one you call and you'll say to them, I've got a problem. Person having a heart attack. And who do they contact? The right people. If you say ambulance, it doesn't mean it's St. John's or anybody else or any other ambulance, it just means who's the medical person best to get to you. For example, with the AEDs going around, I'm trying to work on that at the moment from daily support perspective. AEDs, there's a thing called Good Samaritan with St. John's. And everybody's going to have an AED. And all you have to do is call the nearest one. And I can say to them, I've got one. I don't, but I will be getting one. And if the person's within 2 kilometre radius of me, I'll be available. And so I am the first one. And they'll know that because they have the locations of these, and we are working on the system. You might have done some work on that yourself, basically, I don't know. But it's something that's been going on for quite a while. So AEDs are there. Businesses have AEDs, but sometimes they have restrictions. Only for our business people. There are other restrictions that only last 2 or 3 years, and you have to replace a battery or the iPads or so on. And if you want to, you are invited to come to an hour course with David support. Just, you can have to join me, but it's free. And you'll do CPR, it's called 3 Steps for Life. So there's an opportunity for you to, where I can give back to all of you to come and see how it works. Cool. Back to the locks, lights, line of sight. Locks, we got that. Light, we've got that. Have you heard the term line of sight? Line of sight means, you've mentioned it. That's like cutting down the trees so that you can see who's hiding behind them, around your property, keeping the burning bushes away, the ones you don't want, right? That's line of sight. And if you have a light and line of sight, you can see what's going on, but remember the alarm sounds by far the first way to do it. Vehicles I've touched on. And honestly, there's not much more I can do about it. The only thing I can ask is, if you do have your vehicle outside, please make sure, as I have in my keys, they're over there now, you can press the button and just get into your vehicle. That's the modern world, right? But that little thing shouldn't be close to your front door. You know, when you go into the house and just inside, you hang it on the key and you walk inside, well, who stops somebody from swiping it? Just right there. And will you know? You've all got electric vehicles, so no. How much you know it going outside, disappearing, right? Even if you have a car, it will disappear, you might not know it. So those things should be in the house, fair enough, but not on the front door. Even though it is convenient, it's actually too convenient for the wrong party. Yeah. So now I'm going to open it up to questions. I'm going to ask you to share with me some of your situations that you've had and what you wish you could have done differently. Who would like to start? I'm going to start on the Cape Town side, sorry. Anybody have any ideas? You mean you're safe? You've never been burgled?
Oh, yeah. I left the window open by accident. And yeah, a little child jumped in and ripped off a child thing. So yeah, I shouldn't have left it open.
Do the cars ever get left open? Do you ever see them get left open somewhere?
Well,
there is a spot where it happens a lot.
Yeah.
That's when ladies go home and the first thing they do is take out the ice cream to put it into the freezer.
Yeah.
And while the car's open, opportunity. Sorry ladies, I'm not picking on you a little bit now, but it's not only you, as men we do the same thing. We do the same thing. We've got all these things that we just bought from Bunnings and you're going inside and you're going to put in the back there and put this nicely and label it quickly. You get to your car and the old car's gone. Tradies, it happens to them all the time. And they say they're insured, but actually they are losing in the deal. There's no win for them by having their tools stolen like I once thought. Steal the tools, get a brand new one from insurance. Doesn't work. Any other ideas that you have or what I want to share with you?
Yeah, I had a situation where my car was broken. It was just by the window where I slept, bedroom. I wish I had something like that, maybe. Giving them a Friday, a little bit.
$50 or whatever you get, and it can be any more. Just something to give you an audible alarm. It must be something that makes a noise. There are many of those. I've seen those things you pull out and it goes like a personal safety sort of device. You can pull a pin out and this thing just makes a huge noise. Even that, you can attach it to your car and put a string on it or something and it pulls. You can decide your own little thing.
I've got the Ring doorbell cameras.
Yep, good.
And so I
Yeah.
can see it on my phone, and
Yep.
if I see someone on my front yard, because we're like right on the edge of the lake, I can hit a button and the siren goes off.
That's brilliant. Yeah, Ring cameras are very good. There's no
I
doubt
mean, I
about it.
haven't got, some of the cameras are not connected to the thing that it would, like it saved, only the front door saves the recording, but I can get a motion, I can hit the button. So you know that.
All right, so I'm going to close up with a few things then. What can you do? I would love you to be part of the group of neighbour support. Some of you, what I would ask is, and how we do operate, is to have a group of 10, sometimes 20 people. Above that, it's just too big. But you have 5 people on each side of you, both sides of the road, that's 20. To form a group and just be aware of each other. And I don't work at the police station anymore. I used to. They've kicked me out. We're now in a community hub centre, they call it, all nice and powerful and happy. And you're welcome to visit me there in the mornings, next to Starbucks. If you know where Starbucks is, you'll know where I am, because I'm just next door. But we will share with you what we pick up from the police, what we pick up elsewhere, and give you ideas of what goes on. Currently, it is about Christmas presents, parcels on the porch. We call them trailers, because that's when they pick up their growth. So they need ATVs and trailers to go into the bush and pick up what they've grown, their crop. There's all sorts of things that goes on in the background that I'm aware of and that I do and that I work with. And most of this I can't share. I mean, some of the stuff I was sharing so much, and the chap in Glen came to me and says, "You are the cause that I can't sell my house." I said, "No, I never thought I had that responsibility, but I actually do cause trouble for them. So I've now withdrawn. And if there's a burglary in the area, I just say burglary in that road and don't ask too many questions. I don't even know where it is myself. So join the group, be part of us. We will share with you now and then. I do not over-email people because that's rude, but I do send out one a week to tell you which streets are affected and what it was, whether there's a burglary, a vehicle crime, willful damage or arson. And there's not too many of the arsons, fortunately. We've just got 1 or 2 naughty people in the town who we are very aware of, but the police deal with them, they know it. That brings me to the end of my presentation. I do have forms for you to take home. I wish I had so much more for you. And I thought about it afterwards and said, I could have overloaded you, and then I found out civil defence was before me, and I said, no. I'm not going to pry on this property in this site, but we do work together. If there's something happens, we will always be there together.
Just one question, Richard. Do you, I know other neighbourhood support groups do the street meets.
Yes, they do, and I go and attend them too.
Yeah, if you could just explain
Street
that.
meet is where your group gets together. They normally have just a check with each other, and perhaps my final tip is, it happened in one of the retirement villages, of all places. The lady who always opens her window at 8 o'clock in the morning, this morning she did not. And somebody complained about her, what's wrong? And just because they noticed, enough to know something was wrong, they found her on the floor. And just because of simple things, the window didn't open at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Out of the ordinary.
Out of the ordinary, and that's exactly what you and your neighbours look for. A good neighbours also have good fences, right? There's the boundary between overstepping your mark and spending all day long at the neighbour, and then there's the opposite of not doing anything or having anything to do with the neighbour. And that I fit somewhere in the middle. You respect, but you also support. And we have these meetings every now and then. The last one was actually a while ago, but I used to go to 4 or 5 a month. The last one was probably about 2 months ago. I think the weather probably didn't help 3 months ago. But that's what we do. We do go, we do visit, we do share things with you, we do share the local situation. If they are stealing garden tools, this area is, there's somebody in that area stealing it, and we'll go tell those people. So yes, we do have them. Please join, there's no cost involved, there's never a cost involved to you to look up, set up. I do have forms there, but the only way to contact me at the moment is via Gmail. I have an email address there. We've got a brand new telephone number coming through, which I now do have, but it isn't on the forms. I just only got it yesterday, the day before.
So you do have a number there?
I do, but unfortunately I'll have to look it up. I don't even know it myself. I only got my phone a day 2 ago, and I'm still trying to look at how it works. So just give me a moment to figure it out.
Because, I stay at Scott Avenue out,
yes.
And I run the community garden there.
Oh, lovely.
and the whole shed is full of tools, you know. A lot of expensive stuff in there. I think kids have broken the metal shed now and again, but no tools have been ripped off. So I've been kind of analysing the whole situation.
Are your tools marked? Do you have a telephone number on them?
Oh no, well they're the community tools, so everyone puts in,
Doesn't matter. Just
and
mark them.
yeah, but nothing's been ripped off there, so
It's good to hear that.
it's indicators to kind of show what's going on in the neighbourhood, because it's like a trust box.
It's good, nice. It's good to have that.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
awesome. Just a question at the back.
Yeah,
Last one.
just my comment, when I was in charge of the
The group.
service in the street there, we knew the people individually because we always kept in contact with each other.
Yeah.
So we were friends together, and when anything happened in the street, they were there to support.
Mm.
I remember when we've talked about things like cars being stolen and that. Yeah, well, someone tried to steal my car at 5 o'clock in the morning, but it just happened the neighbour across the street was sitting in her lounge, looked out the window, and within a few minutes 3 police cars were there and took the guy away.
Stunning.
But if there was a thing like an earthquake or a
Yes.
fire or something, I knew that we could be in contact with those people straight away,
Yeah.
and we would have a street support.
So how do you contact each other? Am I
That's what
guessing?
neighbourhood support.
Yeah. WhatsApp is probably the best way to do it.
Yeah,
Most people using WhatsApp.
yeah.
Lastly, I'm going to have to mention this. Sorry.
It's a contact which is very important.
Yeah, it
Keep
is.
the friendship up.
Yeah, your phone towers probably will work, but in a big place it probably won't, and then nothing's going to work except transistor radios. But there's one thing I do want to mention. In an electrical situation, some of you might have an electric fireplace. Make sure that it actually works. If the electricity is off, is there a bypass valve for the gas to go across the electric switch, the solenoid valve? So some of those will not give you gas because it's electric, but the electric's off. It doesn't mean that you can have gas and more. Keeping a spare gas cylinder is a good idea. And I do ask those questions on my forms. I ask, do you have a barbecue? And whether you can choose as a street coordinator, who do you think you want to have with you or not? Even a big old gangster, you may say, look, I don't mind, he's a nice guy, he's not doing any trouble, he's got kids, I'm happy for him to be with me. But you share that with your group. Let your group make sure that they're happy. And I don't have a problem with that. My care is not for colour, creed, race, religion. My care is for people who are in an awkward situation right now. What can we do to help each other? That's it. I'm not contacting the police on your behalf. You do so by yourself. But your job is your resilience, your group, you sticking together to make it happen. You're the only ones that are going to save yourselves in that sense, because you're together. You're the only ones. In a big situation where it's out of your control, which means totally out of my control, means Bruce has to sit with it. So I gladly pass the problems on to him. When it comes to the smaller ones, I'm there to help you. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Richard. Really appreciate that. Okay, I'm mindful of the time, so we're just going to go through these 9 steps. If I can get this going. Sorry. This one. Okay, Richard touched up on this. Communities that work well in disasters work well together before the disasters, and communities that don't work well together before disasters don't typically work well after disasters. And I also like this other quote, in disaster recovery, social networks matter more than bottled water and batteries. So that's the speed of trust, the relationships. We need to build those relationships now, before something happens. Don't wait till something happens and then try and build the relationship. It's just not going to work. So that's the main thing why we need to know our neighbours. So make a plan. All right. So here's what is the most important thing about having a plan.
Know what it says. Know where to find it. Know what it says.
Yeah.
Everybody should be involved.
Everyone should know the plan.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's just preparing.
everyone in your house, you got a prize for that. Because it's no use having a plan and no one knows it. Like you have this great plan and you're the only one that knows it. And what if you are the one that's not at home at the time of the disaster? So that's why today we're going to get the plans going, and you're going to go home with your plans, and you're going to sit your family around the table, and you're going to go over it together. And that everyone needs to know what your plan is. And please get your kids around the table as well. They need to know. And you know, if you involve them, that'll help prepare them, and then they won't be scared when you're talking about disasters, because they'll be part of it, and then you're preparing them, and then what does that do? That creates peace for when something does happen. Okay? So, I love this, Bruce, you gave me this. Keep it simple. First pants, then your shoes. It doesn't have to be difficult. A simple plan, and everyone knows it. That's all it needs to be. Alright? Okay, emergency kit. So that's step 3. So emergency kit, you need, everyone freaks out when you talk about an emergency kit. They think that they have to go out and buy this $1,000 kit, but you don't.
No.
Honestly, you don't. You just, you know, and I always think of, everyone's got wheelie bins. We spoke about that. Everyone's got a wheelie bin, right? And so if you need to evacuate your house in a hurry, I suggest you just grab your wheelie bin and throw everything in it, and then wheel off. It's on wheels.
You can hook it on the tow bar too.
Yep, hook it on the tow bar, and you remember, you've probably got everything you need in your cupboards right now. You've got tins of food, you know, you may have some empty containers that you could be filling up with water. But this is what they say you need in terms of water, and people go, 3 litres a day. Well, that's 3 litres a day per person.
Yeah.
Because washing, cooking, dishes, all that is involved, and drinking. So you need to drink water. So this, they say, is what the requirement is 3 litres per person per day. Okay? So even if you had like empty containers stored in the garage, and then you hear something's going to come, a disaster's coming, and if you've still got water, just start filling them. But some people might have water already stored in the garage, but remember, you need to rotate the stuff that you do have.
Does anyone know how long you can keep it in a filled container?
Do you know that, Bruce?
Yeah.
I think
The easiest thing is you can do it longer by putting
Bleach?
yeah,
Yeah.
a bit of bleach in it. But I mean, a year's good.
Okay.
So if you just like rotate your water every year, you should be pretty right.
Yeah, because
It's a case of, like you say, making it easy for yourself with your rhythms.
I have a lot like stored in the freezer.
freezer's good.
That's your cold stuff in your chili.
Great idea.
So.
Yeah.
They don't break or burst.
Well, you have it this far from the top,
Yeah.
in a plastic bottle.
Yeah. That's another, another tip is have
Yeah.
frozen bottles in the freezer, because like you said, that'll keep things cold in a chili bin if power goes out.
Mine's not necessarily for disasters, but it could be.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's a good idea. Yeah, and so remember to keep water for cooking and cleaning as well. Okay. So these are just simple little grab and go bags, and like I said, a New World shopping bag. You know, you can put stuff in there, but the main important thing is when you do have a grab and go bag, I think Kane mentioned this, you've got to make it accessible. So don't have your grab and go bag in the garage under the bench behind the fridge. What's that going to do when you need to grab it in a hurry? So I recommend that you have a little grab and go bag, and I don't know, put it by your front door somewhere or your back door somewhere. But also we recommend you do one for kids. Like get the kids doing a little grab and go bag, put in their favourite toy, a colouring in book with some pencils. You know, make it a little bit fun for the kids so that they're not like freaking out that something's going to happen.
Animal food,
Yeah.
junk food.
Don't forget the pets. First aid kit. There's all sorts of things that's required that you can put in. A change of clothes, a warm jacket, just things like this. And someone suggested to me that they leave a pair of shoes by their bed in case they have to leave in an emergency, like in the middle of the night or something. The shoes are right there because, you know, if you're running frantically, you're in bare feet, right, when you come straight out of bed, and that's when you can get injured. So some lady suggested leave a pair of shoes by your bed. So these sorts of things you need to think about, and these sorts of things you need to put in your plans so that you're prepared. So make sure your family knows what to do and where to go. So that all comes down to, you know, what to do if you have to evacuate, where would you go, what would you take, what about pets, and would your neighbours need your help. So all these things you need to consider when you're making that plan, because say your kids are at school, you're at work, and then something happens, what is the plan? What is the plan for you to catch up with your kids? Where are you going to meet? All schools should have their own emergency plans, and all parents should have that plan. And another suggestion is the plans you do make, we suggest that you email it to other family members that don't live with you. The more people you share your plan with, the better it is, because they'll know what you're up to. If, say, Kane, your grandmother or your mum's in Whitianga, Whenua Kiti, okay, and then something happens here, or over there, and then if you've got her plan, you'll be like, oh yeah, okay, something's happened over there. Here's my mum's plan. I know exactly what she's going to do and where she's going to be at some stage. So these are the good things, and they always say it's good to have a contact out of town, somewhere out of town, because they won't be affected, but always have a contact out of town. And another thing I've learned is don't ring, text. Text will find a way in, but ringing, it's too you imagine everyone ringing, it's too overloaded. So a quick text, Kane, I'm good, or Kane, we are safe. Kane, we, 3 of us are safe. Simple, 3 or 4 words, just to let the family know that you are safe. And another, people from Blenheim, they do this little note for their family. They leave little notes in the letterbox. So say if someone had to leave their home to go and do, or go and check on a neighbour, they'll leave a little note in the letterbox to let them know where they've gone, so that they're not panicking that they're still in the house. So these little tips are really good. You know, a note on the front door, so that when emergency services, if they come or when they come, you've got on there, we have evacuated and we are at such and such. So these sort of things really help, and it's all part of the planning. Sign up for alerts and warnings. So they have that alert that comes out once a year, eh, Bruce? They send an alert out on your phone, and if you don't receive it, you know, if it's a national alert and you don't receive it, then you can go online and let them know that I did not receive the national alert. But then they have other alerts for different regions as well, so not everyone's gonna receive that particular alert. But please do make sure that you are all signed up for the alerts and warnings. Radio's good, just to keep up with what's going on in the country.
So there's 2 different systems that run with us. So there's one that where you can sign up, you'll get information come to you. Right, you have to sign up for that. But then the other, what they call the National Emergency System, where it's forced out. So they can do it nationally, or it's done off cell towers. So even if your phone you don't have the app to receive the alerts, which is information coming through. If they send a national, or an EMS alert, they call it, that will go to all the cell phones on cell towers. So even if you're out of town, but you're in the area where it's going to happen, the alert will come up on your phone. So we haven't used that locally, we haven't had to use it locally, but one example would be, say we had a fire in the forest. So we're doing work for that because that's the best way of basically getting hold of people in the forest. You know, if they're out there biking or walking or whatever and let go off on their phone, so you need to get out of the forest, there's a fire. That's how we use that system.
Awesome. Okay, so yeah, the emergency alerts, which, yeah, and if you're unable to, then just,
EMAs,
yeah.
You got it.
Okay, so know your risks. So this is a really good one too, to know the risks in your area, to learn about local risks, past risks. I have an example. I went down to Rotorua to run one of these, and 5 o'clock in the morning a siren went off, and I was like freaking out because I'm like, what's the siren? And so I'm online trying to Google what's going on in Rotorua, but that's just letting me know I didn't research. So if you're going to Mount Maunganui or anywhere on the coast, please look up the risks, the hazards, find out where the evacuation routes are, the tsunami routes are. Do all this so once again that you're prepared in case something does happen, because then you won't panic. You'll know what to do if something does happen. Wherever you go in the country, it's good to know the risks. Okay, and another one, just storing up emergency supplies. So yeah, use the whirly bin. Don't go out and buy $1,000 worth of groceries, because honestly, you've got a lot in your cupboards now. We've got tins of food that have probably been sitting in there in our cupboards for months. But it's always good to rotate what you do have in your cupboards. And a lot of people use the daylight savings to check all that. So whenever it's daylight savings, you check your fire alarms, you can check your emergency kits, just to make sure everything's hasn't expired and everything's up to date. So that's a good way to keep track by using the daylight savings. Okay, making your home safe. So this is pretty basic. If you've got, you know, stuff high on cabinets, a lot of people have their TV on a shelf or anything. Fasten stuff. Some people use blue tack for their shelves to keep their things on their shelves. And this is really good because the thing is, it's not to save your furniture or anything like that. It's to prevent injury if an earthquake happens, because everything falls. And it's to prevent you from getting injured. So that's why we really encourage to fasten. And there's other things as well that I like to mention is, do you know where to turn your power off, your water off, and your gas? Because if there's an emergency, a disaster, to keep you safe in your home, you need to know where to turn those things off. But not just you, everyone in your household needs to know in case you aren't home. So those three things are really important to learn, where they are situated and how you turn them off. Okay? Right, and that will help keep your home safe. And here's the safeguard documents and check insurances. So this is really important, and from, like I mentioned yesterday, Cyclone Gabriel, many people weren't insured. So please, after today, go home and check your insurance policies. Make copies of that, make copies of your birth certificates, your driver's license, your passports. Take photos, put them in a folder in your phone, print out hard copies, put them in a waterproof envelope into your grab bag or your emergency kit. Make sure you're prepared and get all this done, because, and make sure you have a bit of cash in there as well if your kids don't steal it. Yeah, put some cash in there, because the first thing that goes down really is EFTPOS. EFTPOS goes down and you can't do anything. So if you just, once again, be prepared and have it all.
If you have a printer at home, you just get your wallet and unload all your credit cards and driver's license and passport onto the printer and just hit print.
Yeah.
Copy of all of it. And then you flip them over so you got the back.
Yeah.
You don't know.
Yeah, no, that's good. Yeah, if you can print them, that's great. Just quickly, do you guys supply these? Because I know some other neighbourhood support groups do.
No, I don't. What are those?
Okay, so I can explain it.
Please do.
So these are called like an info tube. some of them call them life tubes. So inside is a list. You can, for medication, if anyone's on medication, you fill out this list. You can also fill out all the details of the people that live in your house, okay? And then what you do is, you put the sticker on your fridge, and then you put all this back in here, and you put this inside your fridge, okay? So local government services, when they come, they'll look for the sticker on the fridge, and then they'll know that this is inside, and then inside that will have all the details, especially for medication and people on meds. So this is really good. You can make up your own, if you like, and just put a sticker on there, and then, you know, it's really important that, especially there's certain medication or machines or pills.
Good.
Yeah, so that's an info tube, or they call it a life tube. Just Google it online. They use it a lot for the elderly.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot for the elderly. Okay, so that is the 9 steps, and right now, quickly, I'm gonna give you all a booklet each, and in the back is family plan, and I'd like you to start filling that out, and then when you get home, talk it over with your family. Okay? So like Bruce said, there's 3 different plans in the back. One for home, one for work, and what was the other one, Bruce?
Homework, and there's just a little short one.
Oh, the one-pager.
The one pager, if you're feeling a bit overwhelmed by doing the long, well, it's pretty simple. Or you can do both, and except there's something on the fridge as a quick reminder, so you're looking at it every day. Next one, yep, there you go.
Yeah, because, question, how many of you know your partner's phone number off by heart? No, yeah, 1 person,
2.
maybe 2.
3.
She doesn't have a phone.
Yeah, but, yeah, so I'm just, yeah. Not many people know someone else's phone number, family member's
We used
number,
to,
off
eh?
by heart.
In the
We used to.
90s,
We used
we
to know
knew
all the
all
numbers.
those numbers.
So a challenge for you is to learn your wife, husband's phone number off by heart. Because if something happens and you're separated, and you need to ring someone and you don't have your phone or it's flat, at some stage you can text them, but if you don't know the number, how are you going to text them? So these things you need to think about when you're putting that plan together. Really important. Okay? So please do that when you go home. Continue that. Get the kids around the table. Make it a bit of fun for them, so they're not, frightened about it all. Okay, so recap. Step 1, know your neighbours. 2, make a plan. 3, organise an emergency bag. 4, make sure your family knows what to do and where to go. 5, sign up for alerts and warnings. 6, know your risks. 7, store emergency supplies. 8, make your home safe. And 9, safeguard documents and check insurance. So please make sure you do that. Check your insurance when you go home. And all this, you're going to prepare for today to give you the peace tomorrow. Okay? Next steps. Complete your plan and email it to family. Get to know your neighbours and sign up to Neighbourhood Support New Zealand. Richard is happy to help you do that. Thank you, Richard. Start collecting items for your family emergency kits. So these are just things that you don't have at home. But like I said, go for the things you do have at home, and the things that you don't, you can just add to it with the grab and go bags, and get the kids to make one up too. Share your learnings from today with others. Don't hold this information to yourself. We need to share it with others because we care for others, don't we? And we need to help others. So share the information. Sign up to be an ADRA volunteer. So thank you, Kane and Shane, I think.
Yeah.
They are keen to be ADRA volunteers. So what that means is I'm trying to get some volunteers from all the churches throughout New Zealand.
Cool.
And for instance, if something happens in this area, I can just like, Kane, such and such area needs some cleanup. Guys, are you able to do that? So thank you to the guys here that have volunteered to do that. Really appreciate it. And then church emergency management plan. So this is next stage, right? This is when we need to come together as a group that are passionate about being part of emergency management to come up with your church plan. Every church needs a plan, and so what that plan looks like, you need to find out what resources you have in your church, and then you decide how your church wants to respond to a disaster for your community. So whether that is just a cup of tea, or whether that's you want to make meals, or you want a clean-up crew. However your church want to respond to a disaster, I will come back and have another session to do that church planning. Okay? So that's next steps. And then community hub. Well, this is the one where churches can basically do straight away. You know, there's, like Bruce said, he'll come along and there's an hour session. And he'll train you guys and make you aware of what you need to do and how to be a community hub. So that, I think, every church could do right now with a bit of training. So for your first steps, I think, concentrate on the community emergency hub once you've had a meeting with your leadership. And then let me know. And then I can pass you on to Bruce. Okay? So yeah, that's it for today. Please, does anyone have any questions for me or Bruce or Richard before we close up? Anything? Any queries?
No, it was really good. I enjoyed it, and yeah, it would be good for us to try and work out
Why are you looking at me?
Share with you the phone number.
Oh, anyone want Richard's phone number?
I take it up.
Oh, I have it.
No, that's my phone number.
Oh, okay.
I'm not giving that.
But have you got a bit of paper that you
Yeah, I've got, but it's not on there. Take it down. 022 173 2014. You got it?
No. Yep.
173
173, yep.
2014.
Awesome. Okay, and before I close with a prayer, please, I need you. This is the post feedback. This is really important. I know it's going to be there's going to be a couple of different questions, but I need you to fill this out to let my CEO know what impact this has made. Because if it doesn't make an impact, then I won't be travelling around doing this. So this is really important that we need to know what you've learned, if you've learned something, and I pray that you have. So those that can scan, please scan the post one.
Different to the first one.
Yeah, it's different to the first one, so get rid of that. And those that don't have photos, you can use one of these. Yep. Oh, do you use one of these, or is it the phone? Either or. It's up to you.
Do you want these?
This one here.
This is scanned up and look at it.
Do you want these?
Oh, yes, please. Yes, please. Yeah, and you've got your post one. Yeah, fill that one out. Anyone else need hard copies?
Yeah, what's that? That paper, is it?
Yep, this is the post one, so that's the after. No, it's the same questions,
It
but
just shows that
I'm
we learned-
hoping that
shows that we learned something.
they're different. Your answers are different. Yeah. Please, yeah, feel free free to write comments about Bruce and Richard as well, because all this is a collaboration, so it's good to know and how it went and your feedback, so that we're on the right track. Okay, so while you're doing that, I'm going to close this with the...
Before we close, we'd like to say thank you to you and Richard and Bruce for coming here with us today. I know you guys are very busy, and we especially for organizing all of this. We really appreciate it as a church, and especially coming from our own work. We got a small gift here for each one of you, and just to keep you awake on the drive home.
Oh,
That's yours.
oh goodness, the whole thing.
Why are you sitting down? Get up. And that will be Richard.
Very nice of you, thank you.
Just to say thank you for coming here and sharing your knowledge with us. And yes, because there was a lady who went and got the present, so us all, thank you very much.
Thank
Really
you
appreciate
so
it.
much.
Really appreciate it, your knowledge.
Thank you.
We wish you all God's blessings in what you do.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Oh, yeah, thank you
Appreciate it,
so
thanks,
much. Yeah. Yeah, once again, thank you so much for coming along, and yeah, we really look forward to continue to work with you guys to be able to become that community hub, and then later, maybe next year, we'll look at your church emergency plan, but yeah, just to turn up and willing to be prepared for your neighbours, for your families. All right, well, Bruce, do you want a few words to finish? No?
No, too plenty.
Okay, let's just close our eyes and say a prayer. Oh, thank you so much, Father, for this workshop, for this time together, for learning with one another, and just, yeah, being prepared for the things that we know are coming, and just to give us the peace that passes all understanding, Lord. And thank you for our guest speakers for making the time to come along, and thank you for our church. Thank you for this church for being willing to engage in the Adrift Disaster Relief Church program. We're truly thankful. So I pray these things in the mighty name of Jesus. Amen. Wonderful.
So from here, we all go in the hall. There's something in there to have a bite, drink.
Yeah, refreshments.
And then I'll say the best.
I would like a photo though, because, tell my boss, look what I did.
Oh yeah.
We're stand by the banners.
Yeah, can we have a group photo over here?
Everyone stand by the banners.
That would be really nice.